We're going to have a short fireside chat now about responsible AI and data-driven future by Martin Moesler and Tarry Singh, moderated by our Libra, Alexander Lintz.
You, me. Okay. Hello, everyone. It is nice to continue with the program and to be again in the host position for the next panel. The next panel is going to tackle the topic of responsible AI and data-driven future. And basically, I think that our two panelists are going to be more than fit for this topic. So with us today, we have Martin Moesler, who is Managing Director of Science Park Graz, and he is also Head of Board for Business Incubation Center of European Space Agency, if I managed correctly or not. Yes. And we have also Tarry Singh, who was also here with us. He was doing the keynote today, but he is CEO of Deep Kappa AI Lab. Basically, in this panel, just to go quickly to what we're going to talk about foundations of responsible AI. We are going to talk a little bit more after that, what is the path to the data-driven future, and last but not the least, we are going to tackle the topic of Technotopia versus Tech Dystopia. We have talked about a lot, and there are some concerns. Will AI replace us as jobs, and etc. So basically, like I said, this is some of the questions we are going to tackle. So, without further ado, I would like to, first of all, Martin, to welcome you again to DSC event. And we had a quite interesting talk, like, I think 20 days ago, something like that, in Vienna. And I would like to piggyback to this and ask you first question. Why is it important to have responsible AI, at least as a direction, not maybe as something that we are for sure doing something? And what does responsible AI mean for you?
Well, first of all, it is a real pleasure to be here. Basically, this is a pretty elitist topic. As a consequence, it's only the smartest brains in this room. I'm always a bit worried when the room is completely full, because then I'm obviously too much on a topic which everybody is interested in. And the real profits and the really interesting stuff is happening at the outskirts, is not mostly not happening at the center, but between the water and the air. That's where the sea is the strongest, not down, not in the air up. It's exactly where the two elements touch each other. As a consequence, it's a real pleasure being here, and I want to thank in particular the DSC and you, Alex, as a person, because it's impressive what you've achieved, and it's impressive what you still are going to work on in the next months and years. Relating to your question, let me, it's a very good question, but let me take a kind of diverging answer. The most important thing is to have AI. Responsible AI is, of course, is key. But it's like as if we were developing the steam engine, like as if someone developed the steam engine. And the first thing that everybody comes up with is, yeah, but how can we make it safe? How can we make it clean? This is fair points. This is points we need to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes again as we did in the past when industrializing. We need to make sure that we secure competition. We need to make sure that we secure an equal distribution of digital assets and opportunities. But most importantly, from a European perspective, and I speak at least at the moment still for a European perspective, and from a European point of view, we need to make sure to not be fourth in an industry or third, because we will not be second anymore. This place has been taken. We may be discussing about third or fourth place, which is basically in a quasi-monopoly driven world. pretty bad already. But we need to make sure that we, first of all, you need to know where you want to go, and then you can decide on the different paths. The closest connection between 2 points is a line. Life mostly does not work in lines, and you can decide which moral and ethical principles you associate to that path. But at the moment, and this is why I cannot give a clean-cut answer, plus the panel is about this, so I can't, if I gave the answer straight away, it would be wrong for the panel as well. But we need to make sure that that we don't even know where we want to go at the moment in Europe. Everybody else knows they want to basically conquer the world and monopolize the world with their technologies, with their algorithms, with their large language models, with their deep learning. And we need to be aware that this process is one which has been going on actually for about a decade while everybody was sleeping. This is the brutal thing with trends, you know. There's trends and there's mega trends. And mega trend is very similar to popcorn. Let's take a moment and then I'll hand back to you. Let's take a moment and imagine a pan or a pot with oil. We throw popcorn in. The oil is hot, perfect temperature, about 200 degrees, 185 degrees. You throw in popcorn, you know, a handful of popcorn. Nothing happens. Nothing. You'll hear some noise, but nothing happens. About 120 seconds after having kicked in the corn, within 2 to 3 seconds, it all pops up at the same time. You don't get the cover on, you're screwed. That's why you need to have it on before, because it happens so fast. And this is exactly what happens when a mega trend takes off. Everybody watches the pot, and everybody thinks, it's not such a big thing. Something is wrong here. It doesn't really work. And then, bam! It blows into your face. And this is the time which we currently are facing. This is what we see. The megatrend of digitalization, the megatrend of autonomous systems, the megatrend of deep learning systems, including, by the way, hitting all areas of society, is so brutally powerful that if we do not get our stuff together, we will not be having any role to play in ethical AI. We need to do both. We need to accelerate our system. We need to build up funds, like we're talking about billions, like about 100, 200, 300 billion euro funds within the European Union. We still build roads. We still invest into infrastructure. This is what the European Union has been amazing at, especially in the southern realm. We've failed at broadband. And we are currently failing again at AI, because this megatrend is now popping up, but for 10 years, these popcorn have been sitting in the pan. No one saw it, just those with the proper brains prepared for it. I'm shutting up. I did not answer the question. I'm aware of that. Ethical AI is important, but you know, first you need to have something before you can regulate, and you need to have a plan how to get it. Regulation is, I mean, no one on the planet is better at regulating things than the European Union. I'm not sure whether we are as good at getting things going and getting things done. I wish we were.
Yeah, basically, I would like just to jump on that bandwagon that you just started, and I think that this is going to be a very interesting topic. Basically, Terry, I would like to ask you, this is one of the things that I would like to switch already to this kind of question is, sometimes to keep us safe, we tend to overregulate. That was one of the sentences I have prepared to say, and I think that can be partially true, but yes, we do overregulate. So right now in the EU, we have something that's called EA Act. It's something that I think that nobody anymore knows, is it passed, is not passed, in which different board it has been passed and which wasn't. Like people, I think that nobody anymore, I think even the EU doesn't know what kind of process is it, and everybody else a little bit like they don't know what is happening. So basically my question is, we can also see the worldwide is also having some kind of things, not the same, but similar. Like we can see the familiar faces such as Gary Marcus or Elon Musk asking for the pause on the AI development. So my question, Terry, for you is, where would you personally draw the line between regulation and innovation? And perhaps can you give us some kind of, let's say, plastic example? This is innovation, this is regulation, and this is for me, this is the red line we shouldn't be crossing. Like.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I think it's a very good question. First of all, these are two different highways. I wish I could have given Martin a bit of heat in terms of providing counter arguments. Unfortunately, I have to agree with him. I say the word unfortunately because there are two things. One is responsible AI, and I like to use the word responsibility. So if Europe has to become the taxman for the rest of the world, because if that is generating revenue stream to tax Apple and Microsoft and OpenAI kind of companies, that'll be a fraction of that. And you saw in my keynote, we're talking about $200 trillion worth of value coming out of innovation. Okay, so these are two highways. One highway is perhaps on a bullock cart, where Europe has decided that let's sit on a bullock cart. We don't want to do this. And the other highway is accelerating, and I spoke about factorial organization, right, in the morning. That highway is innovation highway. And I mean, I'm not some guy, I'm not a bureaucrat. I drew the line between hard things if you read a book, do please read that book from Ben Horowitz from Andreessen Horowitz Fund. Ben has written a great book about the hard things about hard things. I think we have chosen in Europe we pretend to talk about hard things, but we are taking zero responsibility of 500 million plus citizens in this region. And we are literally guaranteeing that you probably, large numbers will be without jobs. So that's why, unfortunately, I have to agree with Martin, and I can give scathing. Sometimes I can provide abrasive examples. Some people in Brussels right now at leading positions, I have reported to them when they used to work in business settings. I have no idea if there's a collective, I'm going to avoid using the F word, but a cluster ruin communion that happens in Brussels. So I'm a little bit pessimistic, or perhaps quite pessimistic around the regulatory aspect, because if you put in responsibility and then talk about building responsible AI, I'm absolutely for it. We are building a master's program. It's a European Union funded project. So I'm seen as the most hated guy in our consortium because I always provide these comments when I was sitting in big meetings with all these universities and academics and people from Brussels. So they say, why the hell did we invite this guy to participate in consortium? But if I'm the canary in the coal mine, I wish that more people listen to it. But again, giving a more balanced view, responsible AI, I don't think either of the technology companies in US or in China and emerging markets in India, perhaps in Middle East, are being irresponsible about building AI, because they also want to put guardrails, because you have to put guardrails around revenue stream and revenue generation. You do not want to run into trouble to start doing things that actually is not controllable, because eventually you want to manage and control it. So I think innovation with guardrails and providing a progressive-looking regulatory framework that allows you to keep accelerating. Remember, I spoke about hard and fast things. So we have become experts in Europe, as the bureaucrats, to talk about hard things and why it's so hard and why we should regulate. but no one is focusing on fast things where my colleague gave an example of, you're looking at the pump. So remember, I also spoke about electricity, right? So in 1880s, 1870s, we had, this battle between alternative current and direct current. So if we keep standing and yelling at the grid, that is not going to solve the problem. It is about that decoupling. So the decoupling will lead to creation of these appliances. So now products and services and appliances and solutions that are going to come in the next 10 years, we will be subscribers of those services and systems instead of being creators and innovators. So I think it's better for us to be on the innovation highway. I mean, I run startups, I invest my time, I put on my own savings into those companies. So I am absolutely for innovation, and I'm totally for guardrails. And yes, Gary Marcus is a good colleague of ours, ex-professor at the University of New York. He sold one of his companies as well to Uber some time back. So I think, pause of AI systems, obviously, I think these are all marketing theatrics. Listen, I mean, Elon Musk, just a couple of days later, he went into Nevada and he sort of incorporated X.com. So they're all in focus. They're all technophiles. They will build great technology. And I think we should follow that example in Europe. And we should not be ashamed to say that we are bold. In fact, I should be using words like ashamed. We should be bold. We should take these actions. We should think like entrepreneurs, innovators. I mean, I think of the generation that is coming behind us, my own children. And you saw me getting a little bit over-passionate in the morning because I sincerely, when I look at you, you guys are younger, in your 20s and 30s. I'm 52. So I honestly want to leave. I don't want to leave Europe. I want you to lead Europe. I don't want you to leave Europe either. I want you to lead Europe. So I want to be optimistic, and I will keep shaking. I mean, we meet in Brussels, and perhaps maybe I will stand with flags and with protest slogans. So I'm not sure if that is the correct answer, because I look at these two highways. When we are building the master's program, which is with Budapest University, with Naples in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, and also Dublin, we are building those frameworks. But when I look at that and I look at those students who are learning and going to get master's degree in ethical AI, I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope there is someone who will hire you. Because are you learning technology as fast as learning to build frameworks and Excel sheets?
Yeah, basically, I think that you already answered me partly on the question I wanted to ask you, so regarding if you're a tech optimist or not, but basically, well, I think that it's also a very good thing to have it like, and it's very connected, Martin, with my next question to you. Basically, I have asked this kind of question just to set a path so we can set up a room to talk about a little bit more about path to the data-driven future. Okay, right now, we can see that there is an issue like regarding EU, but basically, with or without EU, we're going to continue developing AI, and it's going to lead us somewhere. In one direction, second direction, third direction, it doesn't matter, but it's going to lead us somewhere. So basically, my question is to you is that, do you think the world is ready to transition to the data-driven future? And are the common folks, maybe even engineers, really ready for this? What is your, and somebody who has like a high overview, you can look a little bit more strategical way, do you think this is something that we are ready for?
I think we have to be. I think we have to. I just unscrewed this bottle. Has anyone realized that since for a few months, the caps of the bottles tend to cling to the bottle? Did anyone realize that in the last months?
No.
Yeah? You know why it is? EU regulation. It basically means you can't drink anymore. I'm not joking you. It's a nice idea. It's not the case so much in this region yet. The bottle, it's like it comes up, you have to really pull it off. And this, why is it? It's smart, up to a certain degree, isolated, smart. in order not to have the caps detach from the bottle, in order to have one clean recycling system, not have the caps end up in nature or in the water. I get the point. It's a fair one. It's just bullshit still. Because, like, you know, you tear it off. The point is, why do we still produce plastic bottles? That's what's responsible. That's what responsible regulation means. No more PET bottles. But there's a huge lobby for the PET industry. By the way, huge Austrian companies monopolizing the market for the bottle production. So there is bottles which are biodegradable and which hold water. I'm not joking you. It's beautiful bottles, amazing. You can, maybe you shouldn't, but you can throw them into nature and they will decompose quite quickly. So that would be a way forward. Maybe, you know, trying to, okay, let me get to the question. But, you know, these guys who attach my lid to the bottle, which, by the way, is not doing us well because the polyethylene is not a healthy system at all. That should be kind of, these guys who regulate this, they don't have my full trust. Although I like the European Union, I actually love it. But you know, when you love something, you need to be critical about it. So is the world ready, to come back to your question, is the world ready for AI? It's a beautiful question, and I respect it. The point is, first of all, it's been around for a while. We did just not realize. That's, again, the mega trend. So now, is the world ready for popcorn jumping into your face? You know, that's the thing. When a mega trend erupts, it is challenging, it is creating fear, and it is impacting technically, socio-economically, and politically. And on all three levels, we need to kind of work hard and regulate our brains where we want to go and what we want to come out of it. And we need to clearly, this is basically, I'm repeating again because I like the Industrial Revolution as a step-by-step process of getting us out of kind of work-related slavery into a more enlightened society. What did the Industrial Revolution do? Before we kind of went for technology-driven farming, half of the food which we were creating or which we were growing, half of the food was used for the animals we needed in order to prepare the agricultural ground. Half. People were eating one half and the animals the other. What's the proportion today? Depending on the area, it's 1 to 100. The tractors, yeah, they create emissions, but they don't eat the crops. We may be critical about the carbon hydrogen-based propulsion systems, which they have, is a fair point. I get the point. The problem with us is, by the way, and we need to be very much aware of that, 2025, what's going to happen in 2025? The energy consumption of artificial intelligence is going to be bigger than the whole energy consumption of the mobility sector globally. We are worrying about a 30%, the mobility is contributing to 30% of our carbon emissions, 30. And we are rightly worried about it. In 2025, we'll have a higher emission scale in the area of data-driven operations. There's 3 critical sets of energy input. First, you need to learn. Second, you need to retain. Third, you need to apply. You need to learn the data. You need to train the algorithms and the deep language models. You need to retain it, and then you need to apply it. And you know what? All 3 processes are so incredibly energy intense. Plus, you have a stack, a recurring stack, restacking of the machines of 4 to 5 years. So basically, the whole operation, and this is like, we are doing so many things at the same time. We are on a zero emission path at the moment. I like it. It's just very, very challenging. We've regulated the automotive sector, the backbone of the European economy, by the way. We kind of failed on the tech. We did not participate in the tech bubble. We failed. One of the strongholds of us was automotive. We have a lot of competition coming from many areas in the world, and while this competition hits the European market, we are regulating those players who are actually still leading the world with their technology. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying that Europe is actually extremely bold at the moment in doing the right thing. By the way, I think that competition. I like the fact that we go zero emission. The question is just, do we have to regulate the market in that regard, or do we just set a price on the emission itself? How you get there, whether it's e-fuels, whether it's synthetic stuff, is not the. I think I really am proposing the market-driven approach here. So basically, let the customer decide which kind of AI he or she wants. We need to make a Europe. This is the only way we can, by the way, catch up. So we don't regulate. We create incentives for AI companies which have a very clean and clear-cut strategy to be responsible handlers of your and my data. We incentivize them to work in Europe and to set camp in Europe, and will be playing a role here. We disincentivize them, like we currently do with the automotive sector. We disincentivize them. We will be driving the equivalent of Chinese cars rather soon. I'm not saying that Chinese cars are bad. I'm a globalist, but still. So basically, responsible AI requires a market-driven approach where you communicate to people that the way their data is handled, the way that data is processed, the way the models are trained is very much following enlightened, human rights-driven approaches. And by the way, we will have to pay for that service. We will need to, and this is important, we will need to step by step pay with money rather than with privacy, because that was very much the case until now. Europe can make a stance in regulating things in a way that you pay what you want and you get what you paid for. At the moment, this is not clean and clear. For the last 30 years, more or less, since the emergence of the internet, this was a very, very unclear operation.
So basically, I would say just the answer is no, because what you just said to me, I think that when we look into two different angles. First one is that we don't understand what this mean to be data-driven in terms of how much it's going to cost, and the second, how much it's going to consume. But also, when you're talking about engineers as well, I think that when we are talking about 30%, that we are equal to the mobility, like energy consumption, that's huge. I think that people then don't understand how much the code optimization, etc. Engineers, I'm talking about the engineers part. If you don't understand that we are right now on the pace to basically become the new cows of the 21st century in terms of how much we are making the damage to the environment, etc. So basically, this is very interesting things to say, and this is also one of the problems actually I have learned about in the last think 1 month. I was talking a lot with the people differently, and we started as one small round table regarding AI in commerce in retail. And one of the questions was, why do you think there is not more AI inside of the companies? And we started talking very honestly to each other, and we said, well, the biggest problem that people who we talk with, they don't care about their companies. They don't care about. They only want to keep their job, to play safe, and they are not ready for innovation. We can go even further to think about how many, let's say, so-called hedonists, basically hedonists, or they're just somebody who doesn't care about life, family, just they're I don't know. So some of the people are started thinking about we are becoming more and more like zombies in one way. We don't think about what we'd like to be, what we'd like to become, etc. So basically, I just invented one word for these kind of people. That's flatliners. Whatever you do, they're flatline. They don't care, in the outside. Inside, I'm sure that there is some reaction, but outside, you see, they're very cool. They don't care about anything. And I think that what we have seen that can be very problematic when we talk about especially small and medium enterprise. So Terry, my question to you is, how can we make this kind of people, or do we even can do, to make them to innovate through data and become data-driven? Is that possible?
How many more questions do you have?
2 more.
Oh, no, and then we're done with the panel?
4, yeah.
Okay, oh, I'm just looking at the time. So, no, we can't help them. That's my answer.
Okay.
At least I can't.
Okay.
Sorry, say again, I'll try my best. No.
Yeah, so, okay, thank you for the question for that. But do you think it's possible to create data-driven future with inside of the environment where you have so many people who don't care about their jobs? Let me rephrase the question.
Okay, when you say, so the problem with the enterprises, and let's take enterprise as an example, banking sector, manufacturing, I think it's, I think how I would like to interpret it is that they are not aware of the opportunities, and they are surrounded by this flatliner KPIs that let them go from one day to other, right?
Yeah.
So I think this comes with, again, responsibility. If you are at a senior level, if you're a managing director at a bank or at a startup or a middle manager inside a company, I think I would like to see that their motivation is intrinsic. It is coming that I need to use this technology to speed up my operation. Incentivization from the board level has to come that if you're able to automate and if you're able to bring down the cost of doing this operation. For example, in banking, how many people have worked in the banking sector? Yeah. Is a process called STP familiar to you? Straight through processing. So sometimes it's difficult, Alex, to indeed go to these people. And my first answer was a little bit too perhaps binary. I obviously do want to educate where there is scope to help them understand. I think the key is also to help understand where their KPIs are aligned and incentivized. So for a simple process of providing banking loan or mortgage, et cetera, an average bank will have 10,000, perhaps hundreds of thousands of STP. And if you look from that perspective, their time to market, their time to be able to serve their customer, and then achieving those KYC for goals, et cetera, can be highlighted when you start showing interesting things through these tools. So, I mean, you know, I work for a bank in which they also committed to saying, okay, we'll put in $1 million a year, doesn't matter. So you need that leadership, Alex. You need someone at the top to say, I am putting 1 million euros, I trust in your team, Terry. Can you come up and start bringing the marketing, the sales, perhaps the domain experts from private banking, et cetera, and then try to show them the benefits from their domain-driven incentivized KPIs. It's a long process. What I did not understand is if you don't care about your jobs, I mean, that's quote unquote, I think everybody cares about their jobs because unless you're close to retirement, perhaps, you know, you do try to put in a considerable amount of hours to succeed in doing these jobs and meet the KPIs because you have your appraisals, you will have your boss or manager also asking you on that. So my advice would be to make it data-driven, understand those domains, and if you have that understanding in that domain, you can actually reduce. So in many cases, for example, we were able to reduce in one of my projects, you know, 8-9 years ago, you know, significantly, about 30% the straight-through processing steps by pretty, you know, 40%, which was significant, and they saw that benefit also commercially for that specific bank in the Netherlands. So that is a bit long answer. I would like to be optimistic and get more industries. Like I said in the morning, hard things. Some things are hard because either people don't understand what AI is, and then if you put yourself in their shoes and try to help them understand that, listen, you can do this more, forget about AI. Let's call it automata, or let's call it something else. I think then it's, I see perhaps there is some hope on the other side of the tunnel.
Okay, thank you so much for this. And I would like to jump to the last part, like we were talking about responsible AI, where it's going to lead us, data-driven future as well. So basically, my question to you is that it's going to be regarding Technotopia versus Tech Dystopia. Like, it's going to be one or the other. Like, it's not going to be, maybe it's going to be something in between, to be honest, like as well. So my stand is that technology is agnostic. So basically, it's not neither good or bad. It is what we are and how we use it. So basically, we had a presentation, keynote presentation yesterday about from Lars Sriner regarding how could world look like in 2029. So basically, let's do a mind game. Let's time travel to 2029, and basically, what do you see? Are you and are we living in tech utopia or tech dystopia in 2029? What do you believe?
To be honest, I'm technology driven. I believe the future, the way we will be protecting our planet will be yeah, of course, social change, behavioral change is all important and good. It also does you well, but it's not going to be the thing which makes a difference. It's good. It's good to change. It's good to drive distances, to not drive certain distances which are irrelevant. It's good to not fly on irrelevant trips or do business. It's good to do business virtually, which, by the way, is also not footprint free. It's all good. It's not going to cut this. It's not going to cut it. It's going to be technology. So what brought us? It's mostly what brings you into the trouble, which is also bringing you out of the trouble. You know, it's the we can discuss the, but it's mostly strategy. Failed strategy leads to problems, and it is a smart strategy which gets you out of it. One could kind of go down to weapons. It's weapons which create war, and it's also weapons which tend to often end it. But I don't want to, given that this region has been just a few decades ago through a period which was so dark. I don't want to refer to ballistic topics, but it is actually true what I said, unfortunately. So it is going to be technology. In 2029, we will be consuming about probably about 40% of our energy for data-driven operations. We will still be driving a hell of a lot. We will be flying a hell of a lot. We will have realized that talking nicely about a sustainable future does not do the trick. That abolishing technologies and talking about the beauty of renewable, I like renewables, I love renewables. But we need to be aware that you need to ask economists and technical guys, not politicians, how to do this. Why? Because the sun shines in our area here 1,000 hours per year. The wind blows about 1,600 hours per year. The year has 8,750 hours. Do the maths. It's not working. It's not working. I would love it to work. I'm just trying to have my brains activated, and all of us should. I want a more sustainable future, but it is not going to work the way we are currently structuring it.
Okay.
So, in order to get to where we want to be, we need to be a bit of agnostics when it comes to tech. We need to make sure that one way, by the way, to become a very sustainable place, that's of course true, is by pouring Europe into deep poverty. That's very, very effective. Deindustrialization is a way, disinvesting, and this is currently a term, yeah? Disinvesting is working. it will just mean that those who have kids or who want to have kids need to be aware that these kids will be living in on another continent, full stop. Okay. By 2029, I hope we will have realized that it is going to be technology, smart behavior. I'm not saying that we should, we need to stop screwing up the planet. We need to stop screwing up the planet. It's true. We need to stop reducing agricultural areas by building more and more. But the way we do this is not by deciding that we don't like it anymore, because there is forces which are stronger than liking, yeah, or stronger than worries. There's forces. There's 1.2 billion cars on this planet, and in the developed economies in Europe, the young people do not really want a car anymore. Their iPhones and their PlayStations are more important to them. But believe me, in the rest of the world, there is 7 billion people striving for individual mobility, and we need to kind of give them, we need to acknowledge that, and we need to find a way to make that a sustainable operation. There is people who still want to kind of, there's 7 billion people who actually do not own assets. We are so privileged, and these guys will want to own assets, and they will do almost whatever it takes, be it responsible or irresponsible AI, be it carbon-based energy consumption or neutral energy consumption. They will use energy in order to propel themselves out of poverty, and rightly so. It is a very post-colonial approach which Europe takes at the moment, actually almost colonial still. We are 6%, we contribute to 6% of the global population. The US contributes 4%. We are 6% of the global population, currently telling everyone what to do. This is very much what colonialism was about as well. Thinking that we got it right, thinking that we got the right to rule, thinking that we got the right to regulate, thinking that we got the right to implement the bureaucracies. That was, and I'm saying this with the full kind of sensitivity of the historic impact of what I'm saying, we really need to be aware that this is a multipolar world now, that we cannot act like as if we were disentangled. We cannot act like as if we were the rulers in the house, because at the moment we are on a very good path to be competing not against the first or the second strongest player or geography. We are on the verge to be one of the rather, if I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I love it, because I'm going to be the first one to say, back then in Zagreb, I really screwed up, because it all turned out so well. I was wrong. I would love to be wrong. And I would love those to be right who say this is a process which is going to take 20 years and then we'll be the masters of the universe again. But the point is, if I'm right, the Europe of today, this kind of nice, almost cozy place with a social security system, with medical care, universal medical care, nice roads, nice infrastructure, good universities, most of them for free, high tax, but a lot of gain out of it. This Europe is not going to exist the way we experience it today anymore. I hope I'm wrong. If I'm not wrong, we need to kind of square the circle a bit.
Okay, basically what you're saying to me, to be honest, that's somehow how I basically envision dystopia, to be honest, like what you're saying. And that can be closer to dystopia than utopia, because I think that every human has a right to be equally heard. And basically what you're saying, basically I agree on, I can relate to that.
It's not dystopic. I think we have a democracy, we have a democratic system. And the democracy is going to be, the people are smart. I'm not sure whether the leadership, the global leadership at the moment is so smart, but people are smart. I have trust into the people, and I believe in democratic processes. So I believe in people going for solutions and voting for solutions and voting for people who are realistically technology-driven and who want to make a difference by really propelling tech and ethics at the same time.
Regarding that, that's my question, basically, Terry, for you closing question is, do you think that we as humans are capable of being good enough to create tech utopia? So basically, maybe even refer even further, do you think AI engineers, data analysts, and ML specialists are capable of understanding how important their role is actually? It's not only about coding, it's about understanding what does the code means. It's totally different paradigm what is required for the people who are building technology.
Okay, yeah. So Technotopia, responsibility of engineers, changing the world. I know we kind of, started off with a tone that would have given an impression that there is, but it's all cautionary tales that we are sharing, at least I am sharing as well, and subscribe to some of it. But I do want to end this on a positive note. I think the ability of an individual human, as I spoke, and some of you may have seen that keynote, is going to be multiplied by probably 50 or 100. So I am extremely optimistic, super optimistic of a tech utopia, starting with you as an individual. So for me, I'm extremely optimistic. And I think maybe 10 or 20 years from now, when we will look into Saudi Arabia, and a lot of people would have said, okay, those guys, everybody laughed off when the NEOM project. Anyone is aware of a project called NEOM, N-E-O-M?
The line.
Yeah.
NEOM and the line.
And
impressive.
So they definitely have an existential sort of challenge, and they are trying to channel the funds to create a modern, perhaps not a city, but probably call them communities that are extremely technology driven. I'm optimistic. I think they will need talented people who will have multiple skills, diverse skills to Yes.
Carry on. I wanted to step in. I'm optimistic.
No, step in.
Yes. Returned.
Please.
Just
Yeah.
returned
If you can
from
complete my sentence, that would be great.
No, this was unpolite. I wanted to say, Alex, I wanted to say something after you.
But I mean, go ahead, Martin. But what I do not see that as I really appreciate, because these are the views I have. I think we have in Dutch. I don't know if anyone speaks Dutch here. But maybe it's also German, close to German, so we speak. So in Dutch, we say wet van de remmende voorsprong. What that means is, in Europe, we are stuck with that problem. So the law of it's because we had progress. When I say we, I guess, I moved to Europe 3 decades ago, but I'm talking about the Europeans, right? Electricity, automation, railroads, engine, and manufacturing in Germany after Second World War. But that has become our Achilles heel. So the Remmende, meaning stopping, it's stopping us. The progress is stopping us. So, but I do believe that, I hope that the next upcycle will help Europe as well take that road.
Sorry for interrupting, Terry. I just returned from a trip to Saudi Arabia about a month ago. And I was impressed. I flew there with kind of, mixed feelings. I'm not trying to make a case for Saudi Arabia here, but the point is, there was about 90% of the females not wearing any veil or anything, fully enlightened. Things are changing at a very quick path there. There is districts in Vienna where women are more veiled than in Saudi Arabia. I'm not joking you. Yeah, you have about 5% maybe fully veiled. This is a bit weird, let's call it, to us. But things are changing quick. This is like 3 years ago, this was lifted, this changed. Women drive. There is still some, a lot of, let's put it, enlightened human rights to be developed. Having said that, it is an impressive path at which this region moves. It is, and the point I think, and this is a bit what the two of us are trying to say here, a lot of people and a lot of cultures and a lot of political systems which we may have very prejudice-driven assessments of, they're changing quicker than we are. They get the point. They take the best examples from us, what makes us effective as a society, because people look at Europe. They look at what we did I mean, we are the masters of the Industrial Revolution. 100 years ago, we used to work 70 hours, 7 days a week. It is the machines which brought us down to 35, 40 work hours a week, which gave us 6 weeks, 5 weeks of holidays. By the way, the Americans have 2 weeks of holidays, so average. Some of them in the first 2 years, only 1. You take a new job, you get 1 week of holiday. Can you imagine? And all that together, basically looking at how much liberty, freedom, and quality time industrialization brought to us. Look at that, and I want to work on a non-dystopian approach as well. Look at that, take AI, this is the next topic. The Industrial Revolution will probably have been a rather small event compared to what we are about to face now. And this is gonna, as you said, leverage our capabilities, our intellects, also what we really want to achieve, in a way that it can be really well structured. And the point is, even if Europe falls behind, yeah, we might not be the strongest and richest region anymore, but we'll still be a nice region. Doesn't mean that we'll collapse in total poverty, because people are smart. They will vote for people who will, and for exponents and for politicians who will make sure that we kind of catch up again. It's not a race which is lost forever. Should we lose it now? At the moment, it doesn't look too good to be at the forefront of it, to be honest. But you know, this is the beautiful thing about democracy, that actually losing is also allowed. It's okay. I'm okay with it.
Okay, yeah. Basically, I have just one more question, which is yes or no for both of you, and I would like it's going to be awesome as well as for the marketing purposes. But before that, I would like to say that my personal approach is that I believe in 2029 it will not matter if you're living in Brazil, Vienna, US, or whatever. That's what I would like to believe. So basically, you can do it from Caribbean part, you can be from African part, whatever, you're going to be the same wage for the same job. That's something I would like to see in 2029. Maybe it's too far away, but I believe with pure of my heart that that's going to be happening. But my question for both of you, with just yes or no, if that's possible. Sorry for making you on a hard stand. So Terry, do you believe that we can change world through data?
Yes.
Okay. Martin, do you believe that we can change world to data?
We can change the world today?
Through data.
Through data, of course, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. We don't have a time for the questions because the lunch break is going to start. So I would like one great round of applause for Martin and Terry. So we are coming for the lunch break for the next 45 minutes. And after that, we are going to continue with the excellent big data and data engineering topic here in the main hall. Stay with us after short breaks.